Join me as I dive into Justin Trudeau's surprising statement on the Russia-Ukraine conflict at the G7 summit and see if I can break it down for you in just 5 minutes. The G7 summit has always been a platform for world leaders to come together and discuss pressing global issues, but this year's summit had a particularly significant tone to it, especially when it comes to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Justin Trudeau's statement in particular drew a lot of attention, and for good reason. As we'll explore in this video, his words had some pretty significant implications for Canada and the world at large. The Russia-Ukraine conflict is a complex and multifaceted issue that has been ongoing for years, with far-reaching implications for global security and international relations. At its core, it's a dispute over territory and sovereignty, but it's also about much more than that. It's about the tension between Russia and the West, about the role of NATO in Eastern Europe, and about the very fabric of the international order. World leaders have been weighing in on the issue, from Angela Merkel to Emmanuel Macron, but Trudeau's statement stood out for its candor and its boldness. As the conflict drags on, it's become increasingly clear that there are no easy solutions, no quick fixes. The situation on the ground is dire, with civilians caught in the crossfire and humanitarian aid efforts struggling to reach those in need. The global community has responded with sanctions and diplomatic pressure, but so far, none of it has been enough to bring the conflict to a close. Despite the challenges, world leaders remain committed to finding a peaceful resolution, and that's exactly what Trudeau was pushing for with his statement. He emphasized the need for dialogue and cooperation, for de-escalation in diplomacy. It was a message that resonated with many, but also sparked controversy among some. What exactly did he mean by his words, and what does it mean for Canada's role in the conflict? Justin Trudeau's statement was notable not just for its content, but for its context. It came at a time when tensions between Russia and the West are running high, and when the world is looking for leaders to take a stand. Trudeau's words were a call to action, a reminder that diplomacy and dialogue are the only ways forward. But they were also a reflection of Canada's own interests and priorities, from energy security to trade and investment. Trudeau's statement was also significant because it marked a shift in Canada's approach to the conflict. Gone are the days of simply condemning Russia's actions and demanding that Ukraine take a tougher stance. Instead, Trudeau is calling for a more nuanced approach, one that recognizes the complexities of the conflict and the need for all sides to come to the table. One of the most shocking aspects of Trudeau's statement was his willingness to engage with Russia directly. This is not something that many world leaders have been willing to do, given Russia's track record on human rights and democracy. But Trudeau is betting that diplomacy can work where sanctions and isolation have failed. It's a risky move, but one that could potentially pay off in the long run. Another controversial aspect of Trudeau's statement was his call for Canada to take a more active role in the conflict. This has sparked concerns about Canada's military involvement and whether we're ready to put boots on the ground. It's a question that Trudeau will need to answer in the coming weeks and months. But perhaps the most shocking part of Trudeau's statement was his admission that Canada has been complicit in the conflict all along. He pointed out that Canadian companies have been profiting from the war, and that our own actions have contributed to the violence. It was a bold move, and one that has sparked a lot of debate among Canadians. So what do we take away from Trudeau's statement on the Russia-Ukraine conflict? For one, it's clear that Canada is ready to take a more active role in finding a peaceful resolution. It's also clear that Trudeau is willing to think outside the box and challenge conventional wisdom on the conflict. But most importantly, it's a reminder that diplomacy and dialogue are the only ways forward. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to check out my other video on the reactions from other G7 leaders.